guys, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Feels like it's been a forever. We're back from holidays. It's a beautiful autumn. I love autumn. It's my favorite season. Uh, it's just like I'm enjoying it. Every morning is super foggy and cold outside. Like this morning, I had to go out in town and it was very foggy and it was like 4 degrees, but I loved it. I know I'm a weirdo. A lot of people don't understand how can I enjoy that, but it's like when I wake up in the morning and it's just me, the kids are still asleep, Sam is still asleep. I grab my cup of coffee that is nice and warm and hot, put the candles on, and outside is fog that you can't see the house in front. I love it. I know. So I hope you're well. We are well. We enjoyed our holidays. It was such a well spent time. We relaxed, we recharged, we just took a break. And it's good to take a break from time to time. We saw family as well, which is amazing. It was nice to see you guys if you're watching. And thank you for having us for 3 weeks. We are in October. And October is a special month, not just because my youngest son was born in October. He turned 7 while we were in Spain, by the way. But it's also special because 12 years ago, Sam and I moved to Alba Iulia. We didn't decide then, but we moved. We actually moved physically to Alba Iulia, which is the town that we live in. And it's somewhere in the center west of Romania. If you heard of Transylvania, Alba Iulia is kind of in the heart of it. I know it depends who you ask, but yeah. So it's center west. It's a nice little town, not too big, not too small. And we've been living here for 12 years, basically a month after we got married. And I thought I'll share how we decided to move to Alba Iulia. I mean, I'm not from here. I grew up in the west, in a village in the county of Arad, which is in the west. Maybe I'll pop up, if I manage to find a photo for you to see, guys, where we are now and where I come from. So how come an English guy born in France with a very diverse genetic code and a Romanian simple girl ended up living in Alba Iulia? So I thought I'd share a little bit of this story today. As I said, I grew up in a village in Romania, and after I graduated from high school, I had my last exams. Depends, it could be the SAT if you're in America, or GCSEs if you're in the UK, or whatever other country you're from. But basically the exams you have to have after you finish high school. And after that, I finished my exams in July 2008, and in September 2008 I moved to England and I went to the Bible College, which is called IBTI, International Bible Training Institute. My brother Danny, I have his testimony on the channel. I'll put it down below because he has an amazing testimony how God healed him. He went there before me, and before him my sister went there as well. So I kind of knew about this college. I knew what it was about. It was a small college, not big. It is still a small college, but I knew that the focus was very much practical stuff and very much spiritual growth, character growth. So yeah, after high school, I went straight there. At the Bible College, I met my amazing, handsome husband. I met Sam. Funny story, when I went to IBTI, I didn't have marriage anywhere in my radar. Actually, exactly the opposite. I was like, I'm never going to get married. I was just like so frustrated and fed up that I was like, I don't want to get married. Sam went to the Bible College thinking, I don't want to get in any relationship. I want to focus on God. I want to grow and spend this time in IBTI focusing on God. And God had different plans. I often say he has such a great sense of humor. We met there, we liked each other, and after 3 months, we knew we wanted to get married. So we were serious about it. The rules were that you were not allowed to form any new relationship during the Bible College. It was a good rule, by the way. But because we wanted something serious and we knew we were serious about it, we went and we talked to the director that those days was dealing with this aspect of conduct. We told him, look, we like each other, we have serious thoughts about each other, and we just wanted you to know we know the rules and we're going to obey the rules. So the rules meant that we were not allowed to spend time together, we are not allowed to be seen chatting with each other in a group. Those days, WhatsApp was not invented yet. Facebook was pretty new, and phone and sending messages, texts in the UK, at least at that time, I don't know how it's now, was pretty pricey, so we couldn't afford it. But we used the old-fashioned way of writing a note, dropping it at the other's desk while we were going in a break from the courses. We actually have a box, I think, downstairs in the basement, which contains some of those notes. It'll be fun to read them. Maybe when we move out, whenever that will be, we'll have a good laugh. Fast forward, the summer of 2009 now. Sam and we got engaged. I went to visit his family, then he came to visit my family, just because of budgeting. It was just cheaper that way. And we got officially engaged. We applied for the second year as an engaged couple, which meant we were allowed to go to the same church. We were allowed to be seen together. So it gave us a little bit more freedom. And obviously we could plan our wedding as much as we could, because we still focused and wanted to focus on the courses. And we were talking what we're going to do after we get married. My heart was always for Romania. I always wanted to come back to Romania. It was just like something in my heart wanted to go back to Romania. And Sam, on the other hand, he was like, I just want to live for God wherever I am. So he agreed, and he was okay with coming back to Romania, but the question was where. We knew we didn't want to go back to the village where I grew up, not because there was a problem there. We have an amazing family. It was just a matter of, we were thinking of the future just logically. We were thinking we're going to want to have kids one day, and we would have loved to live in a bigger town, but not too big. So what we did, we printed the map of Romania, and we said, okay, we're going to take time and pray. I remember we took it logically. We said, okay, we want, as I said, a town, not a village. We want it to be biggish, but not too big. We don't want a city, nothing like Timișoara, Cluj-Napoca, or not even talking about Bucharest. We were thinking we don't want it to be too much towards the east of the country, because that would mean we're very far away from our family, but we were open to it. But what I did, together, but I actually did it, was to underline and circle the towns, small, bigger, like on the west part of the country. If you can imagine, as if it's in front of me, not in front of you, for you it would be reversed. But if you can imagine the map of Romania, and then towards the west for me, which would be the opposite for you. Yeah, remember that. So I kind of took the west up to the middle of the country and circled all the towns. And we said, okay, we're going to pray about it. But we're still open to God to show us anything else where he would like us to move. So we did that. We took some time to pray. We're talking now about the spring of 2010. Yeah? Beginning of spring, end of winter, February, around there. We took about probably a few weeks, a month, I can't even remember. We took and we prayed separately. And I remember one day I went to Sam in the morning. It was right before a course, before the teacher came in. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do? Because time is passing by. I didn't receive anything from God. And what are we going to do? Where are we going to move? Sam, very calmly as he is, he's very logic. He's very, he takes it, he doesn't panic. And he said, well, what do you think about Alba Iulia? And I was like, why did you say Alba Iulia? And he was like, I don't know, I just said it, I just liked it. What we used to do in this time of praying, or in this time of month or a few weeks, we would take each of us individually, however, randomly, we took the names of the towns I underlined and searched them in Google and see what information we could find. Now, keep in mind that we're talking about 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago, where social media was not so hype, where not everything was virtual, where you couldn't find as much information. And 12 years, almost 13 in technology means a lot. So keep that in mind. So basically, Sam was like, I don't know, it just seemed like a nice town. And then I told him this was the first and only town I searched for rents. I searched for how much life costs in that town. Not because of anything special, just because. So we decided then and there that we're going to move to Alba Iulia. It was the 10th of March 2010. I have it written down. I've got my agenda from that time. Let me see if I can find it. It's a very old agenda. It's from the years at the Bible school and a few of the first years after we moved to Alba Iulia. I don't know if I'll find it now, but basically I always used to keep, even now I keep a prayer journal where I write different things, prayers, what God talks to me, Bible verses. I'm almost here. And yep, here it is. I won't keep it because I have other stuff written, but on this page, I wrote it on the 10th of March 2010. We chose to move to Alba Iulia. It was a decision by faith. For me, emotionally, I chose it mentally, but emotionally, I was not in the same place as my mind because I had these expectations. I expected that God would supernaturally put some fireworks on the sky and tell us, you have to move to Alba Iulia. Or that we would have an amazing, prophetic dream, or that somebody would come to us and would say, thus says the Lord, you have to move to Alba Iulia. Nothing like that happened. I had these expectations. Don't ask me why, but that's where I was those days. Changed a lot, by the way, in the meantime. God had patience with me. But we decided on the 10th. For me, for both of us, it was by faith. Sam was very logical and simple. He said to me, look, if it's not Alba Iulia, we have to start from somewhere. So we'll move to Alba Iulia. If it's not the town where we're supposed to be in, God will show us and we'll move on, just like he showed Abraham. Abraham was called, his father stopped in Haran, I think. I hope I get my Bible history right now. But they stopped there, he died, and then God reminded him again, move out of here. This is not the place that I called you to. Move out, leave your family, and go where in the country I'll show you. And God led him to the land of Canaan. But basically, it was the same. Sam took it the same. It's like, if it's not in Alba Iulia, God will tell us, and we'll move to somewhere else. For me, it wasn't that easy. But the second day, the 11th of March 2010, in the morning chapel at the Bible College, we used to have chapel every morning during the weekdays. Chapel meaning we used to have a time of worship, prayer, and a short message, somewhere about an hour in total. And that morning, one of the directors from the school, a lovely lady, she had the message. I can't remember what she preached about, but I do remember the message I got and what God spoke to me through her. And it was this. I think if I remember, it was from Joseph's story. I can't remember. But anyways, the main idea, and paraphrasing it, but it was enough, was no matter where you are physically on this earth, be who God called you to be. For me, it was all I needed. All of a sudden, all my doubts kind of melted. And I was like, okay, we'll go by faith. And if it's not there, God will show us. It was like as if a click happened in my brain and I realized it doesn't matter so much the place as it matters to be who God created you to be, regardless of where you are. I took it as the motto of my life. And maybe these days it applies, be who God created you to be, whether you're online or offline, whether you're in your house or with some friends out, whether you're at church or in the middle of the night being woken up by your children being sick, whether you are before your period with all the PMS symptoms or after you give birth with other types of hormones going all over the place. Be who God created you to be. So, we have never seen Alba Iulia before. Right the days following the 10th of March 2010, We wrote an email to all our family members, and we said those days, as I said, we didn't have WhatsApp. Phones were very expensive to phone somebody, so we wrote an email and we told them a little bit how and what, and we said we decided to move after we get married. The wedding was already scheduled, the family knew about it, of course, and everything. So like, after we get married, we're gonna move to Alba Iulia. Now, we didn't know anybody in this town. It was just literally, we came here to this town with the map, and God, map in our hands, God in our hearts, and we moved. In the Easter holidays, which was probably around April, after the March we're talking about, we came to Romania to do some more planning for the wedding. The rest of the time we were very focused, and we chose to focus on the studies. So all our planning happened in the holidays. And while we were here, we also decided to come and visit Alba Iulia. We came with my dad, my brother Danny, and his wife Sarah. We have some photos. Oh, if I remember those days. We didn't know the town. They didn't know the town. My dad, although a pastor, didn't know anybody from this town. He just knew of the town. He visited before, after the revolution, but that was like years before we moved here. And we decided to move. We came to Alba Iulia. I remember now, I mean, Alba Iulia is a different town than most towns in Romania, just because we have like two centers, two downtowns if you want. We have an administrative one, which has everything to do with police, banks, administration, any papers you need, court, everything in this aspect is in downtown, the center. And then we have a cultural center, if you'd like, where is the citadel and all the shops and all the entertainment. So two kind of centers, which is not very common for Romania. It was the first time we saw like that. So we came, we arrived, we parked the car downtown in the administrative downtown of the town. We parked the car, we started walking. We probably spent a few hours here just walking around. There was no Waze those days, no Google Maps, at least not to that extent that Romania was included. So we kind of just walked around. We ended up in the mall. It was a very small mall. It still is, but it's being renovated now. And we were like, okay, that's the town. Okay, if God calls us here, He knows why. It's a funny story. I'll tell you a little bit later about it, about how we discovered the other center. But basically, that was it. We got back in the car. We drove home, and we're like, okay, that will be the town we're moving. We got married in September 2010, and then we went to our honeymoon. We came back from the honeymoon, and we were praying, and we came back to my parents. We went back to my parents, and we were kind of praying and thinking, oh, we'd love to move to Alba Iulia, but we had no money. In Romania, I'll explain this because it's different in your culture. At a wedding, the couple does not receive gifts. The couple receives money. So basically, the culture is this: you kind of know, or people kind of know, how much is a restaurant wedding meal. In there, you also add a bit of money for everything else, and you also think about giving a little bit of extra just to help the newlyweds couple. Basically, we had no money to start with for our wedding, and with the money we received at the wedding, we paid everything. We paid everything off. That was our prayer. We didn't want to start our lives together in debt, and we didn't. God was faithful, and He listened to our prayer. But we started from zero. We had no money, and so I remember we were praying about it, and then we received some money as a donation. It was 3,000 lei, which is about those days it was about 500 euros ish. Probably the same these days, but so it's 3,000 lei. Maybe those days it was about 600, 700 euros. But these days it would be about 500 euros. And so we started looking for rent. I remember I finally managed to find an apartment that looked okay online. Now, when I think of these days and how much more information you can find online compared to those days, which okay, it's 12 years ago, but it seems like a forever when we talk about technology. And we managed to find 3 apartments, it was studio apartments. So we talked to the agency, and we said, okay, we're going to come. We came, if I'm not wrong, on the 18th of October 2010. The agent brought us to a small studio apartment, which looked disgusting. It was small. It didn't have all the it didn't have appliances. Didn't have a washing machine. It was also filthy. He got us to an apartment which is a bit bigger, but we couldn't afford it, and then a studio apartment that was a luxurious. I mean, it was a 5-star one, which obviously we didn't come in Alba for that, and we couldn't have afforded it. And I remember being so disappointed. We said to the agent, okay, we'll phone you back once we decide, if we decide on any of those. And the funny fact, how we discovered the second center, or the cultural center of Alba Iulia, it was on this day, on the 18th of October 2010, we came to Alba Iulia with the intention of getting an apartment, studio apartment, of renting something. We came with my dad's car packed with our stuff. It was half of our stuff. And we said, today we'll get something. Now, talking to the agent on the phone, we did not have Waze, Google Maps. As I said before, he directed us how to get to the agency, which was in the cultural center of Alba Iulia. And then he told us which streets to go on, and we're like, whoa, this town is a little bit bigger than we thought. I mean, we knew, and I knew, especially as a Romanian, that Alba Iulia, it was a historical city. But normally, in all the other towns like Deva, Shiria, and all the others, the citadel is like somewhere, some ruins on top of a hill, something like a demolished castle type of thing. So I expected the same. Whereas in Alba Iulia, the citadel it's built up as part of the town. It's really interesting. If you ever come to Romania, come and visit. Give us a call, and we'll go out for a coffee with you guys, wherever country you're coming from. It is a beautiful town. It's not a big town. It doesn't have a lot of wow stuff to do in, but it's very nice to just walk around, take some photos, enjoy a coffee, enjoy an ice cream if you're in the summer, depending on the season you're coming in. It is a very pretty and beautiful town. So on the day when we came with the car packed with the intention of getting a rent, we discovered that Alba Iulia, it's a lot bigger than we thought. Anyways, after we left the agent, we went to a supermarket. We said, okay, let's buy some water. We found a bigger supermarket. We're like, whoa, that's nice. Good to know. I remember talking to Sam, and we're like, okay, what we're going to do? We said we're going to rent something today, but out of these 3, none of the options are okay. And Sam was like, you know what? If we can't find anything else, we're going to get the filthy studio apartment, because it was the only one we could afford. And if that's how God wants us to start, then that's how we're going to start. I was agreeing with him, but my heart, it was tiny. My feelings in those moments were, I was like holding up tears, holding up a knot in my throat. Anyways, we went in the supermarket, we got a bottle of water, we got out, and at the entrance or exit, depending how you look at it, of the shop, there's like this panel where people write, even these days, people write announcements of selling a car, renting a place, giving a dog for adoption, whatever random things you can think of. And we were just reading to just randomly, I can't remember if it's Sam, my dad, I can't even remember. It's like, let's just look here, see what, maybe we can find something. There was an announcement for a studio apartment. It was saying the price, which was in our price range, and we took the phone number. It was several, but I remember that was the only phone number that answered. We found, the man answered, and he said, we asked if we could see the apartment. He said yes. He came, we saw it. It was a bit bigger than a normal studio apartment. We signed the contract, we paid him the money, we left half of our things, and then the following Monday, because it was Monday, we moved to Alba Iulia. Funny fact, or God fact, if you would like. The man, he was telling us that he doesn't work in Alba Iulia in the town, although he was living here, but he was working outside of town. It just happened that at the time when we decided to phone, he was in town. Now, I even say it's a coincidence. I would say it's God's faithfulness. And a week later, which was I think the 28th, 29th, I can't do maths right now at this time of the day when I'm recording, which is about 10 minutes to 6 in the afternoon, obviously. So anyways, a week after that date, we came with all our stuff, with another transport, with my dad and my brother. We left. They left us with the boxes, and here we were. I remember the feeling I had when my brother and my dad left the apartment. It was just like total abandonment in a way, which is weird. I mean, I was with my husband, but although you probably wouldn't think if you know me, but I am an introvert. I do need people around me. I do need a community. I'm just an introvert in the sense of I do need my time away from people. Just me and my family and a pajama day, just not to have to get out. I am an introvert. If you put me in a new situations with new people, I'll probably be very quiet at first until I get used to the people. I'm not somebody who just speaks out, although I might seem like I am for the people that I'm comfortable with. So if I talk a lot when we meet, just take it as a compliment. That means I feel very well and good and familiar in your presence. I just felt very alone when they left. We didn't know anybody. We came with those 3,000 lei, 500 euros, if you will, in our pockets, out of which 200 euros went for the rent and the warranty you have to give for the rent. A few boxes with a few stuff, and that was it. Us in a new town, new apartment, new people. Strange. It was hard at the beginning. I remember right before we came to Alba Iulia, in this period of a week, since we signed the contract until we actually moved to sleep in Alba Iulia, I had in one of my prayer times with God, this was one of the things God told me, like, to my heart. And he was like, Alex, don't worry, you don't know anybody, but I know everybody in that town. And God proved faithful to his word. I took that word to my heart and I was like, okay, God, we don't know anybody, but you know everybody that we'll need to meet, and you'll make sure that we meet them. It was hard the first month because we didn't have any jobs, not because we didn't want to. Those days there were hardly any jobs. I mean, these days you just have to walk outside and you'll see in a restaurant, in a shop, in a wherever that they're looking for help. Those days it wasn't like that. It was hard to find work, and we survived from October until March with those 500 euros. It doesn't add up because only if you put the rent, it still doesn't add up. 100 euros per month it was. But with God, 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread are enough to feed 5,000 people, to which you add women and children, which they could add up around 10,000 in total maybe. It was the same for us. With God, 500 euros can last you for all of these months, although they were winter months. But it was tough. It was hard. We had to walk almost everywhere. We didn't have a car, and we couldn't afford a bus ticket, although it was like 50 cents or 50p if you're coming from England, or very, very small amount. We could not afford it. I remember finding coins on the floor as we were walking around about town and being happy that, oh, that means we can buy bread tomorrow. That means we have enough maybe tomorrow to get the bus instead of walking to church. Like little things like that. I remember that autumn, in November, it was my birthday. And my mom and dad and my brother and my sister-in-law and my nephew, my niece was not born then, they came as a surprise visit to visit us. I remember my dad and my mom, they bought us a microwave, which is the same microwave we're still using. Incredible, 12 years. Actually, it's been lasting for a long time. I just realized. As a new house, new family kind of gift, and they came packed. I remember it's my mom's style. If you visit my mom, you never leave empty-handed. You will leave with something. And she came with food, cakes, fruits, like packed. And I remember putting the stuff in the fridge. It was empty. We had a big fridge because that's how it came to the apartment. I wish we had that fridge now, because now the one we have is a bit smaller, and with two boys that it almost non-stop, it's hard to fit everything in. But it was empty. I remember we had like a loaf of bread, we had some butter, well, margarine. We didn't afford butter, and probably a jar of jam and some Marmite, because we received it before we got married, and that was about it. Empty. And we're okay. We knew that was life at the moment, tough. I remember my brother is this image vividly stamped in my mind and in my heart, because I could kind of read his feelings, if it makes sense, or his heart. And I said, let's go and buy a drink. And I remember we had like €3. That's all I had in my pocket. And I talked to Sam and I said, to kind of honor them, it's also probably a Romanian culture, when somebody comes, you're trying to give them the best. And in a way of honoring them, I was like, okay, we're going to go and buy a drink. And I remember my brother, my brother and sister-in-law, they bought us like salami, butter, ham, I don't know, cheese, and stuff like this that you have in the fridge. And I remember him like kind of, but we just wanted to get this Alma, or we wanted to have, I can't remember, but I remember I was very aware that he was trying not to make me feel awkward, but in the same time wanting to help us. But basically, it was tough. We had a few tough months after we got married, but I'm so grateful for those months. I wouldn't relive it because I know how hard it was, not knowing when it will end, the period. But those months were so good for our marriage. It brought us so much together, one with each other and together with God, because that's all we had. We never lacked food. We always had a piece of bread. So we always had something to eat, although it was not, fruits were a luxury those days for us, or meat or anything a bit more, And we had where to sleep, we had heat in the winter. God was faithful, even though it was not easy and it was not ideal circumstances. That's how we started. In March, I got my first salary. In February, I started working, and this is maybe a story for another time, but just shortly telling you, I went for an interview to be a cleaning lady in the mall. I was waiting there in the queue, and when I got in the interview, they started mocking me. How come a woman with superior studies, married to an Englishman, would, because it's this idea in Romania, if you're married to a foreigner, like English, American, Spanish, anything from the West, that means you're well off. Whereas in the reality, it's not necessarily that. There are poor people in England, in America, in Spain, in France, wherever you go. Or not necessarily poor people, but poor people as well, and people who are not well off. Anyways, it was a good lesson for my character as well, to learn to humble myself and to learn to face bullying in a way. I remember they were very nasty, and I kept my brave face, but my heart was not. And they didn't give me the job, obviously, because they knew, their reason was that they knew I'm not going to stay there for long, because somebody who has superior studies and is not going to stay, is not going to be their dream job. But I had to go there, because while I was waiting in the queue, without knowing, because I didn't know the people, we started going to a church here, by the way. Somebody from that church saw me, and then probably a week later after that interview, I received the job, and I worked for 3 years, I think, in a flower/gift shop in the mall with a Christian boss. So it was a blessing. I had to go through this, and I had to be there at the right time, at the right place, although it seemed like the wrong time and the wrong place. But God proved faithful. Then eventually Sam found a job, and here we are 12 years later. As I said, we found a church that we joined, but not just the people from that church, although the people from that church played an immense role in us slowly fitting in and slowly finding this town livable, especially for me, and slowly finding a family and a community and feeling like at home. But we also, God proved faithful to his word he gave me before we moved, which was like, Alex, you don't know anybody, but I know all the right people. And these days we have great friends that come from no church, that don't necessarily they are atheists, but that just kind of believe a combination of things. We have great friends that come from our church, obviously. Great friends that come from the charismatic church. We have people that we know and helped us kind of, all the pieces put together, feel welcome in this town, that come from the Baptist church, from the Pentecostal church, from the Orthodox church, Catholic church. So God had the right people, and he made sure we met them at the right time. And all of these people put together made us feel at home. And Alba Iulia does feel at home now. If we were to have to move somewhere else, I would find it really hard. We just settled in, we fit in, we feel it at home. So that's our story. That's how we ended up moving to Alba Iulia, a town we knew nothing about. We basically moved with God in our hearts and a map in our hands. And it was a great journey, the whole moving. It was hard, was worth it, 100%. And I just want to end the video with encouraging you. Now, it's not just the story that I said, which is fun and but I want to encourage you, no matter where you are physically, because at the end of the day, God calls specific people to specific places, but majority of us, even Sam and I, we just didn't know where to move. But majority of us will not be called specifically to a place, to a physical place, to a geographical place. But I'll leave you with the words that our director, our teacher, and my mentor at the time said in that morning in the chapel. It doesn't matter where you are physically. Be who God created you to be. I'm going to end the video here. Actually, I'm going to give you a few seconds right now while I'm talking. Feel free to like and subscribe. And why not give me a comment about the subject of today, maybe where you are in your life. Maybe I can pray about something for you. Why not write your prayer request in the comments down below? And please like and subscribe right now. It helps. I'm not a big channel, nor will I ever probably be. I don't know what God has in plan, but your like and your subscribe, because that's how the algorithm works, and that's how social media works, and the programs is if people interact, then they will kind of make sure it arrives to more people. But if nobody interacts, although it might be good stuff or okay stuff at least, then the algorithm won't tell anybody about it. And just to give you an example, today while I'm recording, not while you're listening, somebody who is a follower, we are on Instagram, we don't even know each other face to face, she has quite a few more followers. She shared a post of mine, and in a few hours I got like 20 new followers. And it's not about the followers, because that's not what I'm doing it, but maybe out of those 20 people, the message arrived to the people that I could have not delivered it to because I didn't know them. But like this, they can maybe be encouraged, maybe they can be lifted up, maybe God can speak through them, to them. I don't know. But yeah, please do this. Why not share it if you think it's helpful? Thank you for doing that. And I will see you next time. Have a blessed weekend, because it's the weekend now. Yes, no school for me tomorrow. And I'll see you next time. Bye!